exciting is that? November, we're in the run up to Christmas. It's Black Friday month, all happening. And I'm super excited for all of you who have jumped on this evening and can't wait to train you. So I'm going to be training on Eric Worre's Skill 5, and I'll give you a little bit of more rundown as we get into it. So it's going to be about half an hour. I'll try not to witter on too much, and apologies if I just run over slightly, but hopefully you will find it useful. Right, let's see. Who can I see? Milena, can you see my screen? Can you see? Right, I'm going to just slightly get rid of you guys so I can just see Leanne so that I can see the slides too. Okay, so welcome to this evening's training. We are on week 5 of our Me Plus 3 area manager training. I'm not going to check the chat as I go through. So if there is something you like, super burning question, and you really feel like you need to answer it, then unmute and ask the question. Otherwise, we'll go back through the chat at the end and I'll pick up on any specific questions that people have put in there at the end. So this is all about, we've been through, and the previous trainings have looked at how to find prospects, how to invite, how to follow up, and we are now talking about how do we help our prospects to become clients and consultants, or it's the close. Now, I'm sure closing is something that nearly all of us in Arbonne have probably at one point or other thought, oh, I wish I was better at the close. It's something that we're really good at enthusiastically talking about Arbonne, about the products, about the business. And then we get to that critical bit about like, how do we just get the person to say yes? Because we all know that our business is finding prospects, inviting them to take a look, following up, and then we're just sorting people, we're giving them the option to be able to decide which way they want to go, what's the right thing for them. So we're going to talk a little bit in here about helping them to make that decision to close and to go to the next step. Here we go. So obviously, if you are on this call, it's because you've joined wanting to become an area manager. So before we go into that skill 5, I just want to remind ourselves, we have to keep this simple. We are aiming for you guys to be in a position when you are doing at least 10,000 or more monthly success line QV. So that's your own clients plus the clients of the people that you have sponsored. So in the simplest terms, if we took Carol's Yellow Brick Road building block, it would be you plus 3 other people that you've sponsored, all of whom doing 2,500 QVs. Okay, now that's the theoretical thing. So it could look like something like this, you doing building block. And let's say you'd sponsored 5 people in your business. Some of them are sort of early days in their business, or they don't particularly want to run. And there may be a consultant doing, say, 500, 1,000. And then you've got some people who are going to district manager, and some of them might have sponsored themselves. So you might have people when you come to area manager where you've got a set of people who you've personally sponsored, and you might have some people in either your second or your third generation in your business. So when we're thinking about like where you want to be by the end of this training set of training sessions and where you want to be over the next few months, I want you to be really clear about where you're aiming and where you need to get to, because we need people to be saying yes. We need to be people to be saying yes to becoming clients, so you can do those client sales and that you can teach the people in your success line to do those client sales. And you need people to be saying yes to becoming consultants, because it is possible to do 10,000 QVs yourself, but it's unlikely that that is going to be sustainable for most people, particularly if they're doing this alongside another job. So you want to do this with a team. So keep focused on what you want your team to look like. Make sure you've got this drawn out. So before we go into skill 5, and I'm going to explain why, and you'll see as we go through, I want you to make sure that you know where you're going and you've got a clear vision about what this looks like, because you can do all the nice, sexy DMO in the world. You can tick all your sheet every day. But at the end of the day, like, you know, if it doesn't result in clients coming on board or new consultants coming on board, and then those consultants being able to sponsor somebody else, you are not moving forward. And don't like be delusional about thinking, oh, I've ticked my chart every day. If you're not getting the actual outcome, it's not going to help you to move towards that area manager and beyond. So personally, my area qual team looks something like this. So I went to area quite quickly, and I'll show you that in a moment. So at the point at which I promoted to area, I had, I think, something like 10 people who I had brought into this business to help them to make that decision to get started. And they were all doing somewhere between about 200 QVs and 1,500 QVs. But I just had a lot of people, 10 legs direct to me. They weren't yet duplicating in sponsoring, but they did in the future. And you'll see that's why then you're able to grow beyond area. So that width is good. It's good for your pay. It's good for stability. It's good for growth. And in time, then you need that duplication to go further. It is hard work when you've got a lot of people that you've brought into the business because you're personally supporting a lot of consultants who are new in the business. So it felt to me at the time as though I was spinning lots and lots of plates because I'd be running backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards. Oh, I'm doing a launch for that person. I'm answering a question for that person every day. But it was so exciting. Honestly, it was the best thing ever. So again, just think to yourself, is this where I'm going? How am I going to get to that next step of area? And I hope you don't mind me just doing a little bit about this before we go into skill 5, because it is really important. And you need skill 5 in order to get to this point. You need to get people to say yes. Okay, so to get that strong and effective close is absolutely essential. It's essential so that you can secure bookings from people to host, that you can get people, you can invite them to take a look and get them to say yes. You can ask people to come to an event and get them to say yes. You can ask people to try products and help them to say yes. That you can help people to become clients. You can help people to become consultants and those people to make referrals. So we have to have the skill to be able to help people to make that decision. It might be yes, it might be no, it might be maybe. But if we ask enough people, which the previous skills have taught us, we follow up with those people and then we close and we get to a decision point, because there is nothing worse than having these people that you just spent ages chatting with and it never actually closes. You don't know if it's a yes or a no or a maybe, because you need to move on to the next person so you can be asking them too. Okay, and in order to get to there, you need, and we've been through this lots of times, so you probably have heard this a million times, but you need to have belief in yourself. You need to have belief in the products, belief in the business, belief in the industry, and you need passion, energy, and influence, because those things are what will help you in this journey. It will help you. And you need to maybe assess yourself now, today, about are you out of a scale of 1 to 10, where are you on each of those 5 areas? Because if you have a lull in, or a gap in any of those areas, it will make it so difficult to, really, really grow this business. And then that will help you to say, well, what personal development do I need to do? What area? Is it in the industry belief? Is it more in the products? Is it more in the business? Is it about your own passion, energy, and influence? In which case, how can we work on that? And then we need a process of taking people through exposures and following up, and some techniques on helping people to make a decision. I think Carol said on her training last week about the follow-up that when she was working in the shirt shop, she was taught the skills of how to match a tie with a shirt, how to ask someone if they want to upgrade or whatever it might have been, because those are just skills. And then we're going to teach you some of those today about literally the words to use to help you to get to that point and help the person to make the decision. But first of all, and this is the last bit I'm going to do just before we go into the actual skills, you need to know when you're talking to people, and when we come to the questions, you'll see why. You need to know what is possible and what is like something that someone could realistically do, so that you can give them confidence that they could do the same. And you need confidence that you can do it as well. So I'm just going to use my journey so that you can see what happened for me. So as you know, I'm not typical or average, but as we also know, who wants to be average? So anyone who gets to area manager isn't average in this business, are they? So earnings.arbonne.com. So I've just done a little graph here showing my own journey to area. Now, some people have done this quicker. There are people who have completed area in 2 months from starting this business. So certainly I'm not the fastest. So I started this business at the beginning of December 2016. I completed district in a couple of months, then continued to grow the business. So I was talking to lots of people about the products, bringing in clients myself, and also I had a real focus on bringing in new consultants to this business, between 2 and 4 new consultants every month. And so then you can see that where are we? March 2017. So after 4 months in the business, I was only at 5,200 QV success line. The following month, we did 13,300 QVs. And the month after, in May, we completed area with 11,254 QVs. And I've never done then less than that for the entire rest of my time in Arbonne. Now, at that point, in 6 months that I've been in the business, we had collectively, myself and my team had sponsored in 52 new over 150 PCs and ICs in that 6 month period. So again, you have to know that helping people to make a decision to come on board as a client and as a PC or as a consultant is absolutely essential if you want to get to area. You have to have the numbers of new people. That's the growth. So whatever you've been doing now, however long you've been in Arbonne, you could be brand new and you could think, brilliant, I can get to area. You absolutely can. Now, I'd been bringing in new people before April. So going to area wasn't just a 2 month, it was a 6 month journey. But even then, like, you could be going into area qual in like this month or next month. It is totally possible, or certainly by the first couple of months of next year. So, you can absolutely do this in a short space of time. So that's exciting. What was it that I was doing at that point? So I was working completely full-time, 5 days a week in my other business. I had 3 children under 9 who I looked after all the time because my husband was a very busy doctor at the time. He was never available. I worked every single day of that 6 months, probably at least from 8 in the evening when the kids went to bed until either 11, 12 o'clock or later every night. Consistent hard work. I had an incredibly strong vision, focus, and goal. I was probably obsessed. There's no two ways about it. And I didn't really know anything because I wasn't very knowledgeable in Arbonne, but I was full of energy and passion. So I had quite a limited knowledge, but I used the tools. So tools like, once a month, there was a local Discover Arbonne, and I made sure that there was at least a few people with me at that Discover Arbonne every single month, so that I could help somebody else to explain Arbonne that understood it better than I did. So that's just to give you a bit of confidence that you can totally do this. And if you've been in Arbonne a long time and you haven't done this yet, you just need to think, whatever I've been doing up to now, I need to do something that's a step change different. So it's either more work or it's more effective work to get you to this point. Okay. And this is the last couple of little bits, because again, I just want to give you some confidence. Again, I'm not typical or average, but I then started in that 2016, and hopefully you can see the years along the bottom. This goes up to the beginning of 2021. So I completed area in the May. We went region qual the first time in the March of 2018, so a year later, and then actually completed region at the back end of 2018. So what's that, about 2 years, 18 months, something like that. And just to give you a flavour, again, when people are talking to you, you'll see later about how much they might want to earn, that November of 2017 was my biggest income. So I earned, as income before costs and tax, £3,099 in that month. And then my highest ever income as we went through and continued to grow the business was £6,190 that I earned in 2020. So that did take me 3.5 years to get to that point. But that's still a pretty healthy business to be running alongside the rest of my busy life. You'll see as well that there are dips and peaks, dips and peaks, and dips and peaks, but that the trend overall is upwards. But those dips and peaks are quite big. So some of them, like at the end of 2017, I was at nearly 35,000, and then the next month we're at 20,000. So if your business has ever had peaks and troughs, that's fine. It's part of the journey. And we learn as much in the troughs as we do in the peaks. Just keep working and making sure your overall trend is upwards. And in fact, the last time I made this graph a few years ago, and I need to update it to carry on after 2021. But the next few months after that actually went back up to about 45,000 QVs for the next remainder of 2021, the first half of 2021. And then they dropped off again. And I lost my region. I say lost because I perfectly well know where it is. It's just that it wasn't a priority for me, and I had some other challenges in my life. And so the reason why that happened was because I wasn't doing enough sponsoring and bringing in enough new PCs and ICs. And quite frankly, I didn't have enough energy or passion, and I wasn't doing enough work. So I'm totally comfortable with that. It's just a phase. And when my graph graph goes to nation or executive national vice president, it'll just show as another dip, and I'll know why that happened. And that might be the case in your business, that you might have had family challenges, you might have had health issues, you might have had a baby, whatever it might be. It's not a journey where you've gone backwards as such. It's just that you've parked things, and you know how to go to the next step. So just keep going in your business. If you've had a period when you've gone up and then you've come back down, it's like, just go again. You know what to do. And this one just shows, this is QVs. No, sorry, this is sponsoring of over 150 QV clients and consultants. Obviously there are some high peaks in there, but if you look at the overall trend, that pretty much after the first few months, there's never been a month that my overall success line has sponsored less than between about 20 to 30 new clients and consultants. And you have to be bringing them in all the time throughout your entire journey in Arbonne, because if you're not bringing in the new, you are going backwards. Because we always know that there will be some people who leave, some people who stop becoming a consultant, some people who stop being clients. So we always have to bring in more to replace people who are currently in your business, and then you need to bring in more if you want to then grow your business from where you were. Okay, and if you stop or reduce the number of ICs and PCs you're sponsoring, you always get a decline in success line QV in your QVs a few months later. There tends to be a little bit of a lag, but you will always eventually start to see that decline fall down. But also look at the peaks. So in the periods when we were in massive growth mode, we were sponsoring like over 50, 60 new PCs and ICs a month. So again, this skill of being able to help people to make the decision to come on board is absolutely essential, because you're going to have to grow, and you're going to have to grow this business quickly if you want to get to becoming an area manager. Okay, just as a by the by, if anyone is watching this and they're interested about what it looks like when you get to region, it's not thousands of people that you need. So I had more or less 5 people in the business who were growing themselves a business, and quite a lot of other people who were at the IC level at this stage. So I had one lady who had promoted to area, one who was an area manager qual, a couple of strong districts, and an executive district manager. So that's just a bit of by the by for people who are interested in, so that you can help to visualize what does that look like, and you can help to describe to somebody else what does that look like if they want to go to that next level. Okay, so I'm not the fastest. Some people have completed Nation in a year, which is amazing and incredible, but it is possible if you're that kind of person and you're prepared to put in the right amount of work and the right amount of influence. People who have done that have reached out to hundreds and hundreds of people and sponsored hundreds of people in a fairly short space of time. One of the things that I learned early days in my business, probably in 2016 when I started, was I watched a video with Eric Worre, and he said success likes speed, which has stayed with me ever since. And it's, for me, it was certainly true that the quicker you're going, the more activity you're in, you create more activity, you create more excitement, you create more of a buzz, and then you often are more successful. So it's much easier in some respects to say, this is 90 days of all in, massive, insane, crazy, tiring effort to get to this next stage. Okay, consistency is key. If you're having a big burst of energy and then a period where you do nothing, a big burst of energy, a period you do nothing, is really confusing for people that are watching your journey, and it's not satisfying for you. So if you can stay consistent, it's so much better. And then ultimately, we've always said, do more, be more, have more. If you want to do more than, if you want to have more than you've had before, if you want to grow your business bigger than you've had it before, you need to do more work. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. It's like more work, more effective, better duplication, whatever it may be, but you need to do something different. And I want to urge everyone who's on this call, I don't want to be delusional, and I want to tell you that you're going to have to work your socks off if you want to get to area, but it is so worth it. And that then when you can then teach other people to do the same, you'll be like amazing in this business. So let's now look at some techniques with how we help people that we've invited, that we've presented to, that we've followed up with. How do we then get them to close by helping them to make that decision? And hopefully that's going to be a decision to say yes. Okay, so as I say, we've gone through the skills already, and this can be applied to whether we want to help people to become a client, to use our incredible products, or to be a business builder and become a consultant. Okay, so professionals or pros, as Eric says, They have a few things about them. So the first thing is they don't make it about them. It's really easy when we start this business to think it's all about me. If I get to area, I'll be earning this amount of money. That'll be so good. I'll be able to buy this. I'll be able to pay for that. And it feels like it's about you. And I think Carol or one of the other trainings said, when you make it about the people we're talking to, it feels so much better. And it feels better to them, it feels better to you. And it's just us being professional and helping them to do the right thing for that person. I have never sponsored anyone into this business where I haven't truly believed it's the right thing for them. And I always look for people and I think, where's the need? What does this person really need? Like, why do they need extra income? Why do they need this community? And then I'm always seeing the need in that person and then just seeing if I can help them to see the need, and then bring them into this business because it's so incredible. So the other thing about professionals is that we bring enthusiasm, passion, excitement, that we've got a fire in ourselves, and people see that. Most of the way through my business, people who've joined me have said, I didn't really know what was going on, Caroline, but I believed that you believed it, and I believed that it was going to be amazing and it was going to be fun, and you sounded so excited. So even though I didn't really know what it was, I wanted to be part of it. And you need to create that for the people that you're talking to. So think to yourself, like, how much do I sound excited? How much do I sound passionate and enthusiastic? And we don't all have to do that in the same way. We don't all have to morph into a particular kind of way of doing it, but you need to still light up that person's life with excitement and enthusiasm. And it's amazing how you can feel that through the WhatsApp, because I know that people can feel it in my team if I'm not on fire. And I can feel it in them when they're not on fire. It's like it travels through the airwaves somehow. And so just think, like, what vibe am I in? What energy am I in when I'm sending messages and things? Because that's what people need to see. They need to feel that they want to be in your gang, that they want to be part of this. And that you need to have that absolutely unwavering belief that this is the right thing, that the Arbonne is incredible, that the products are incredible, that the business is incredible, the community is incredible, and that you want to help people to be part of that. Because if you don't believe that, why would other people believe it and want to be part of what we do? That we're always professional, so we come across in a professional way. You can have fun while being professional, but it means if you follow up when you say you're going to follow up, that you've got the materials that you say you've got, that you get on the Zoom at the right time, just stuff like that. And that people, you need to be interested, not interesting. So that means that we focus on the person we're talking to, not just blabber on about things that are important to us. And like, I'm the queen of blabbering on, so I have to contain myself to do that. Leanne's laughing at me. So the other things that professionals do is Eric talks about being a farmer, not a hunter. And this is where I think sometimes people feel like the sales side of it, they feel like it's an icky sales thing. And if you ever feel like it's an icky sales thing, it's because you're not doing this business right. We should be focusing on helping other people and not looking to get something from them. So just think about that. The farmers are just sowing the seed, we're nurturing the seeds, and then we're helping to harvest those seeds, once the things have grown. But it's very much about helping and nurturing the people that we're talking to and doing the best for them. I have always assumed that people will say yes, because I believe in this business and I believe that I'm talking to the people that I'm talking to for the right reasons, because I want to help them. And I genuinely am surprised when people don't join. And I always, even then, I believe that they will actually join. Sometimes I might realize that they need to have a second baby before they're ready to join this business. But truly, there are people who I've been talking to for 8 years in my business since the very start, and they haven't joined, but I truly believe it's that they haven't joined yet and that they will eventually join, because I know it's the right thing for them. So just assume that the people you're talking to will say yes to the products, will say yes to the business, and be focused on how we show them the benefit. That we then need to promote ourselves and what we can offer. So what we can do to help that person to become successful. So when Carol spoke to me about this business, she had sponsored like one other person, her cleaner, and they weren't even doing the business. But she told me that she was going to the top of this business as a national vice president. And did I want to come with her? And she could show me the way. And I was like, sounds amazing. So I joined this business. So we need to help to make sure that we come across as someone who can help them. Now, even if you are brand new to this business and quite frankly, you don't know how to help that person, we have got 45 years, whatever it is now, of experience in how to do this business. So you can show other people how they can find out how to, that you can show them how to access the Strong Start information on the app, or you can ask your upline to show them, but you're going to show that person and promote to them that you can help them to be successful. You're going to always be prepared by having your samples in your bag or whatever it may be. And then we're going to listen, listen, listen. We are consultants, which means that we need to be hearing what the people are saying to us, because that's where you find the need. Sometimes I've described it to people as being almost, it feels like to me sometimes like I'm not a big one on fortune telling. And I always think that fortune tellers are just very clever at putting out there open-ended questions and then listening to the answers and then playing it back to the person until the person says, oh, that's amazing. It is a man that I've come to talk to you about. Oh, yes, their name does, they have got brown hair, because the person has fed out those questions and then they've listened to the responses and then they can play them back to you. And that's the same as us. We need to really be focused at listening to what people are saying, because everyone's need is different and they might come into this business for different reasons, or they might need different products. And the way we play that back to people will really help them to see how this fits for them. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you through the 6-question close. I think in actual GoPro, he talks about it as being the 4-question close, but he's already asked 2 of the previous questions. And there's a video of him going through this skill that I'll put onto the November chat as well. And he calls it the 6-question close in there. So this is about how we help people to make the decision. And very much this is about opening a relationship. It's like the start of a beautiful relationship with this person. So think of it like that, not think of it as closing the sale, because that's when it gets icky. Okay, this is the start of this permanent relationship with someone. So after each exposure, you'll know that obviously Eric tells us to take people through a set of exposures. No one wants to be asked if you want to marry them on the first time you meet someone in a shop. Like, you have to go through the first date, the second date, the little holiday or whatever it might be before you get to the point when that person might ask you to marry them, or you might ask them to marry them. And we need to do that with our prospects too. So we go through a number of exposures, and the quicker that we go through the exposures, the better. We don't want a lull in the enthusiasm. So you're going to take people from one exposure to the other exposure to the next exposure. And it's how we professionally guide people through those exposures will help them to make that decision. And we need to help people to imagine themselves doing the business, or imagine themselves being successful, imagine themselves having a success with the products, because that's when people will feel emotionally attached and they will want to say yes to this, because it's them who's imagining it. It's them who's seeing how Arbonne's products or Arbonne's business is the solution to their problems. And then they will ask you to say yes, effectively, because they'll be like, that sounds amazing. When we're telling people that they should say yes, they'll always come back with objections and so on. But when it's them seeing how this can help them, then that's when they will say yes. So question 1, you've taken them through an exposure. It might be a product trial. It might be watching a DA video. It might be you delivering a DA. It might be going to a DA. So what we're going to say at the end of that is not, what did you think? Because what did you think invites people to come up with a whole range of things that quite likely to come up with, oh, I didn't really like that, or here's an objection, I don't think I could do this, or I'm not sure about that. It creates a whole load of problems, and that is not helping the person to see the things that can work, because we all have things that we're not sure about when we start this business or when we think about it. So instead, the first question we're going to ask someone is, what did you like best? They might come back and go, well, I did like the sound of the products. Or they're going to might come back and say, I did like the idea of a second income. And at that point, you're going to ask a few more detailed questions in response to that. So what exactly did you like about the products? What was it exactly that you liked about the business model? So you're focusing on the things they like, not focusing on the things that perhaps they're not sure about yet. We're going to listen to what they say, acknowledge what they say, lots of active listening skills you need there, lots of nodding, yeses, oh, I agree, whatever you want to say. And then remember what they say, be noting it down in your book so that you're going to come back to that later. Question 2, fabulous. So they've told you they like the business model. So hypothetically, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 meaning you have no interest, 0 interest, and 10 being you're ready to get started right now, where are you? And then wait. Carol talked last week about Jade being brilliant at waiting. I have to make myself wait at this point. So depending on their answer, where they are between 1 and 10, even if it's only 1, We're going to work out how we're going to guide that person to the next exposure. We're not asking them to get married at this point. We're just asking them to go to the next exposure. If they're right at the end, then we might be asking them if they're ready to start. But it might be that we're just asking them to go to the next exposure. So we can use this for either the products or the business. And we want to keep it relaxed so it feels easy for the person to say. We're not asking anything too hard. So you can use phrases like, oh, just for fun, like, tell me, like, where do you think you are? Or hypothetically, or off the record, or just between you and me. I mean, I'm not going to tell anyone, just between you and me. So where do you think you are? Like 1 to 10, like no interest, mega interest. Use your own language, but try to stick with the essence of this. Don't change it around too much, or else you sometimes start to weaken the question itself. If there is 7 or above, then they're probably ready to get started, let's say with the business or to buy the products. If it's a bit below that, you might need to then give them some more questions about, like, what is it that you need to get you higher on this? It might be that you need to trial the products, you need to speak to someone else, whatever it may be. Okay, question 3. Great. Whatever they said to the previous one. Great. Let me ask you another question. Hypothetically based on what you've just seen, if you were to get started with our company, working part-time, approximately how much would you need to earn per month to make it worth your time? Eric says that this is such an important phrase, the making it worth your time, because everyone, nearly pretty much everyone, has an amount that would make it worth their time. Would that be £500 for some people? Maybe. Would it be £2,000? Maybe. Would it be £5,000? I told Carol when we had a conversation like this that I needed to replicate my previous other business. So I needed it to be at least a regional vice president because I needed to earn over 3,500, 4,000 a month to make it worth my time. I specifically said to her, I haven't got time to do something that's not going to bring in as much as that. So I, from the outset, always knew how much it was worth. So everyone has an amount. Again, keep it relaxed, keep it flexible and fun. So just for fun, you can even say to someone, if they've only come back with a 6 or something, or a 5, you can say to them, I know you're not interested, so hear me out on this. I know you're not going to do this business. I'm not going to say you're going to do it, but just hypothetically, if you were to do it, how much would you need to earn to make it worth it? And then wait again and let them answer. Do not be tempted to give them the answer that you think. Like, don't say to them, right, would it be 2,000? Would it be 3,000? Would it be 500? Let them be the one to answer, because they need to start imagining what life could be like if they had an extra amount. Okay. Question 4. If you decided to do this business, how many hours per week do you think you could realistically commit to developing that 1,000 a month income business, whatever figure it was that they said in the previous question would make it worth it? And they'll usually say, most people will say something like between 5 to 10 hours a week to create that amount of income that they've previously said. So the majority of people will probably give a fairly low-ish number, like maybe 500 to £1,000, something like that they might have wanted to earn, and then they might say 5 to 10 hours a week. Okay, so that was question 4. Question 5. Okay, this is where it all comes together. How many months would you be willing to work those 5 hours, let's say, while you were developing a £1,000 a month business? Obviously, it's not going to start at £5,000 a month or whatever. It's a business, so it does take time. So how many months would it take? How many months would you be prepared to work at developing that business until it got to that level of income per month? So you're going to just insert whatever hours and whatever financial amount they said they wanted to make, and then listen for how long they're prepared to work at it. And that's how long they'd like give it a go for. So most people would be like, maybe 6 months, 4 months, something like that, until I could be earning that amount. Okay, final question. So if I could show you how to develop a £1,000 a month income working 5 hours per week over the next 6 months, would you be ready to get started? Because I could show you how to do that. And then you can sort of say, would you at least be interested in taking the next step, like learning more, trying the products, meeting some people, whatever it is you want to suggest, and then wait for an answer. And this causes people to imagine what it would be like to build a business based on their desires and goals. This is what they have told you they want to do. They want to have a certain amount of extra income. They've got a certain amount of time and a certain amount of months that they could be prepared to stick to it until it started to pay off at that level. And it creates excitement and interest for them. It creates curiosity. It creates the startings of that why, that vision about what this could look like. But it's them that's driving it. It's not you. You're just giving them some options. Okay. And mostly people will have fairly normal, realistic answers. So they'll have a relatively low amount of income at this stage that they might think that this business could give them. And they've probably got a relatively realistic number of hours in relation to that income. Now, if they come back to you and they have completely huge or improbable like income goals, so they say, I need to earn £10,000 a month, or a really small number of hours available, like 2 hours a week or something, then you're going to ask a few more questions, because you might want to say to them, well, hang on a minute, like, how much are you currently making in your full-time job? Let's say they say £3,000 a month, and they're asking you that they want to make £10,000 a month with this business. You might say, well, like, is that really realistic? And then what we may need to do is we might need to typically explain to them that they might need to tweak one of those numbers. So they either need to have more hours, because let's be realistic, like, they go to work for 40 hours a week at the moment and they're earning £3,000 a month. If they're only giving you 2 hours a week and they want to earn 10,000, like, that's a scam, isn't it? You need to say to people, you need to increase your number of hours you're going to work at it, decrease the timelines, as in it'll take longer to get there, or have a more realistic amount of income. If they are super ambitious people who want to earn £10,000 a month and they're prepared to make the commitment to make this work, then you can absolutely say to them, well, yes, I mean, ultimately anything is possible in this business, because we know people have gone to nation in a year and so on. And perhaps they could be the one to do it. But we need to be kind of straight with people. So perhaps no one has done what they're proposing, but maybe they can. So if you look at that person, you think, right, well, it's not typical. It hasn't really been done before. But if you're ready to go for it and work for it, it will take epic effort. But if you want to go for it, like, let's go for it. You might want to refer here to the earnings.arbon.com table that shows the average incomes. But this is why I showed you earlier on, like, my area manager earnings and how long it took me, and my region earnings and how long it took me, because I want you to know that anyone can do what I did. That wasn't like I was busy. It wasn't a spectacular like economic environment. People are doing that now, that are growing to nation now. So there's no reason why anyone can't do at least as much as I did, and possibly could go quicker. Zinzi went to area in a month or something crazy, for those of you who remember her. So these are sort of, if you get someone who is like a super go-getter, then go with it. Okay, so this is going to be the same after every exposure. If it's a product trial, you're going to say the same. What did you like best about the product? On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you with starting? If you were to start with the products, what sort of benefit would you need to see for it to be worth it? If you decided to use the products, what sort of commitment to using them would you be able to give? How long would you be prepared to put in the effort of using the products? And then if I could show you a way that could get whatever the benefit is that they've asked for, using the products, say, daily for a month, then would you be ready to get started to go on to the next step? Again, you're creating in them that vision of how actually they could be successful, and that you can show them how that could work. Okay. So then if they start to say, yes, that sounds good, I guess so, then you're going to pull out of your pre-prepared bag, and then whatever you need to give them that next bit of information, or that next exposure, or that how to sign up. So it might be that you've got the comp plan information, you've got some product trials in your bag, that you're going to arrange a meeting or a 3-way chat with someone, or you're going to literally go to that next step of showing them then how to sign up and purchase the product. Okay, so good luck. Amazing. I want you though now also, when you go away this evening before bedtime, ask yourself these same 6 questions and sense check your own answers. So do you know the answer to this? What is the level of income you're looking for, and how many hours are you realistically giving to that, or able to give to it? And how long do you think you've got from now until you're prepared to have that level of income? So do you need to increase your own hours? Do you need to decrease your financial ambitions if you haven't got enough hours to get to that point? Or do you need to increase your timeline? But because the number of hours, it does take work to promote to each next level. It takes a lot of work. It takes enough work that in those last few months, your kids are being fed potato waffles and fish fingers because you haven't got time to do stuff, that the housework is piling up. You have to understand that in that period, you have to be all in for at least 90 days of full, amazing, incredible, exciting, crazy effort. But it is so worth it. It's so exciting when you're going to promote. So ask yourself those questions. Be clear on what you want those answers to be, because if you're not clear, how is your prospect going to be clear? And you might have one version which is like, I need £2,000 a month by February. Like, let's go for it, because that is 100% achievable. Then you might have one that says, I need 5,000 a month by May. I don't know. You might have one that says I need 10,000 a month by next September, in which case, like, let's get to work, crack on, because any of those are achievable. So, how amazing is that? And then make sure your goal is absolutely clear every month. I'm a person where if I'm in this business and I'm building, personally, I've never used a daily DMO tick sheet in a way, because I'm like, all that matters to me is the outcome. All that matters is how many QVs I've got by the end of the month and how many people I've sponsored. So it doesn't matter how many people I have to ask. Ticking 3 on the day every day isn't necessarily enough to get me to my end point. So I have to work backwards from my end point. It's like the answer to this is by the end of the month, I have sponsored either between 2 and 4 new consultants, and I have to ask as many people as it takes to get to that point. Does that make sense? So just think when you're growing, if you need to grow, you need to grow, and you need to make sure you're sponsoring those new clients and those new consultants every single month. And if you are not doing that with the amount of work you're doing in your DMO at the moment, then you need to increase the numbers, or you need to get help to work out how you get a better ratio, a better success level. Draw out that dream team. So those structure charts that I put up at the beginning, make sure you are clear. It's not always going to look exactly the same as how you think it might look, but broadly speaking, make sure you've got the boxes, and if there are people's names not yet in that box, draw it empty so you can start visualizing filling those in. Set targets about how many clients and business builders you're going to enroll. Aim for the over 150 QV. I know now we've got Replenish Me, and sometimes it's good to go in lower, blah, blah, blah. But personally, we've got 45 years of selling you that 150 QV order will always, in my opinion, give you a better client, because they'll get more into the products and they'll stay longer and they'll get better results and that sort of thing. So if you can, and my business personally has fewer clients that buy higher amounts, which is a lot easier for me because I don't know, lazy, like having less clients to deal with. And then make a daily and a monthly plan with enough activity that you are confident you're going to meet those QV and sponsoring goals, because there is nothing for me more demoralizing than seeing someone who's set a goal at the end for the end of the month, and then they get to the end of the month and they haven't achieved that goal and they're surprised that they haven't got there. And it's like, make sure the amount of work you've got on your DMO is enough to get you to that goal, whatever that goal is. Okay, sorry for the harsh, what are they called? Love punches, aren't they? Right, so book recommendations. So Eric Worre GoPro, Alan P's The Questions Are the Answers, and Open with a Close. I've put electronic copies of those into the November Go-Getters. I would highly recommend that. Make sure that you have read all of those. I mean, Open with a Close is kind of more complicated. That's if you want to get really into the ins and outs of sales techniques and things. Alan P's Questions Are the Answers is a genius book, which totally changed my life. It's amazing. It's all about identifying the clients' hot buttons. What is it that makes them tick? It's so useful, and it's incredibly quick to read. You can read it in a few hours, it's easy peasy. And then there are a few on the right there: How to Win Friends and Influence People, if you feel that you are lacking in that influencing part of this, because we can ask as many people as we like, but if we are not just a person of influence, people are not necessarily going to say yes. So if you feel like that's the gap that in the pipeline, that's the bit where you're stumbling. You're asking a lot of people, you're following up with them, but they're not saying yes. Work on your influence. And then the ones on the right, there's multiple different books on the internet, like Fanatical Prospecting. It's got their The Secrets of Closing the Sale, or the closing books. So if you feel that this is the bit you really struggle with, and you're doing everything else perfectly, you're asking enough people, then work on your closing. Okay, so me and 3, I'm so excited for all of you to become area managers, because there is nothing better for me. I always think area manager is where this business starts to really make sense. You're earning an income that really makes the amount of work you're doing makes sense. And it's so much more fun when you've got a team. I love it. I know at the moment I've been in a bit of a lull because various reasons in my family, personal life. But having a team to work with is the best thing in the world. And it's so lovely to see people grow and develop and just become amazing people. So I'm super excited for you all. I'm going to stop sharing. So there we go. That was that. Now, I apologize that we've gone a little bit over. I'm just going to check the chat. Nice hearts from Catherine. Thank you very much. I'm just going to check the chat. If anyone wants to say anything, you can unmute or whatever it might be. Yes, or put anything in. Love Hat Sparkles, lovely. Other than that, get back to you Sunday evening. I'll put the slides maybe in the chats if anyone wants to access them for later, so you can get your 6 questions. Write them out. Right, are we all good? In which case, I'll love you and leave you. Take care, everyone.